Okay. Lower the tax burden of the peasantry. By lowering taxes on the peasantry, we can encourage them to increase their output of agricultural goods, as they will be allowed to keep a greater margin of their profit, while also improving their living standards in general. Oh, I see, we started with extensive conscription. Fair enough. I was like, wow, we have a lot of people. So when does the war kick off? 38. Something like that. I think it might actually be before 38. But I'm feeling pretty good about getting all of these units out, because we've been so aggressive mobilizing. Might well need to buy a little bit more steel, which does suck a bit. Standoff in America. A tense standoff has erupted in the United States as the democratically elected President Huey Long has fled the city of New Orleans after being forcibly removed from his position by the General Douglas MacArthur. From New Orleans, Long's supporters have declared MacArthur's government illegitimate, as have the northern supporters of the syndicalist Jack Reed. We stopped with Belgium. Yeah, I got a bit bored just doing the government in exile. There aren't enough options. There is still a possibility that I'll return to it at some point, but I just felt like playing with Bulgaria for a bit. Serbia crowns King Alexander II. Since the end of the Austrian occupation during the 1920s, Serbia has officially been a kingdom. Concentrated industry. Liberation Day done. Wouldn't it be funny if Serbia and Greece had a King Alexander? It'd be even funnier if they were the same King Alexander. On the 3rd of March 1878, Bulgaria was liberated and properly established as a state with the signing of the Treaty of San Stefano. Supported by the Honourable Alexander II of Russia, the Ottoman Empire was forced to give Bulgaria most of its current-day territory. Later on, following the Treaty of Berlin in 1878, the Principality of Bulgaria, alongside Eastern Rumelia, was established by the powers of Europe. In 1908, we would go on to declare our formal independence. And that just gave me the political power to get our first minister, which might actually be an infantry equipment manufacturer, or the chief of staff. We were going to get the mass assault guy, weren't we? And then eventually guns and butter. Alright, let's develop the countryside. While many of our cities, such as Sofia and Plovdiv, are well developed, the countryside and other rural areas are seldom paid much attention to, and thus ignored. We must begin investment into our rural regions in order to better link up our nation. Can I show you the templates for the divisions? Sure. It's just a very, very simple 10 combat width infantry, and then 20 combat width with artillery support. Like, we're super early in the game. We haven't really done very much. Has Mordred ever thought about playing submods for KR? I really wanted to play Kulturkrieg, but it doesn't seem to be available. Or at least I couldn't find it. And I don't know how complete it is either. There is that point too. The Second American Civil War. To those not in the know, it might seem like the crisis of the United States came out of nowhere, but experts agree that this was a civil war years in the making, since the collapse of the New York Stock Exchange in 1925. The United States declared war on all the other Americans. paths are very cursed, though. How do you mean by that? And we seem to have some more civilian factories again. Yeah, Bulgaria can get a surprising amount of industry, I think. Which will be nice. US Civil War just started, so they're still going to be filling themselves up. Though this is a very small CSA. And by the looks of things, New England did not get independence. Which is going to give the USA a much bigger power base because they have New York City and Boston. If they can hold that, then the US might actually do quite well here. If. Big, big if, though. Really? The only planes we have researched are naval bombers. That feels a bit weird. Do I care about that? April 37. Yeah, I think I am going to research field hospitals. The sooner we can get those, the better, but I'm not really expecting to have the industry to make that happen. Riding the Tiger adds seeds of booze to the two Sicilies who go to war with Catholicism, and raise Rome to the ground in it and restore the Roman Empire in Western Europe. Oh. Wait, are you talking about Hearts of Iron or Crusader Kings? After a brief French civil war, the old government of France and the supporters fled to North Africa to escape syndicalist wrath. The nation eventually devolved into a military junta under the Lion of Verdun. Hoy and Kaiserreich is insane. So what the hell do concubines have to do with Kaiserreich? Develop the countryside. Let's end Black Monday. Thankfully, we have managed to end the economic plague known as Black Monday and have dug ourselves out of this rut. In addition, we have managed to strengthen our economy, solidify the stability of our currency, and gain the trust of the people by bringing about an economic reform. Oh, it's a modifier. Okay. So we'll get these two built, and then I think we'll switch back to the producing some of the bigger units. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line up artillery as a thing again for when we start getting some of these civilian military factories done. Nope. French Republic still in France. Transcimmer is enormous again. Canada declared war on Panama. Well, the last like 3 or 4 games this has happened, and I'm always kind of astonished by it. Have they changed the chance of that occurring? Abandoned by their trusted ally in Washington, San Jose was forced to look further north to ensure its protection from our more predatory neighbours. Ottawa, who was eager to have friends close to the canal, has embraced Costa Rica. Yeah, the one I'm really waiting for is Call to Krieg. From everything I've heard about it, it does sound really interesting because that's basically... Kaiserreich has always planned to have 2 world wars. So you've got the Second World War, which is Germany versus the Third Internationale versus the Entente. Then the Third World War was supposed to be the victor of the war against the Internationale versus the Entente. The Entente was supposed to be like the late game faction, and Kulturkrieg basically brings that to the fore, where you've got the Third Internationale, which has fallen, and now it's Germany versus the Entente for round 2. With all the focuses and changes that have emerged because of that. Like Britain's controlled by the British Reconstruction Authority, France is split in half, and all of those guys have their own focus trees. The American Civil War, that type of thing. The first Syndicalist Internationale, held in Paris, dealt with the spreading of the ideology overseas, supporting syndicalist movements and strengthening the ties between existing syndicalist nations, and thanks to the gathering success, the Second Internationale has been called to be held in London. The Chilean-Argentinian War. Tensions have been running high between these two regional powers for years now, as the ideological differences drove the nations further and further apart. Support by Chile for the FOP in Patagonia and the incapacity of Argentina to quell the rebellion have finally come to blows. Two Sicilies have joined the Reichspakt. Interesting. Alright, Germany just got super strong. Maybe I shouldn't join the Reichspakt. Otherwise, this is just going to be a ruffle stomp. Cindy, Bulgaria? Unlikely. Maybe independent Bulgaria. The Empire of Bulgaria. Radio is done. We're still in 37. So maybe I want to start doing some air doctrines, maybe? Well, let's research AA and AT, just in case I decide to use those. And then the other thing that we could do is make the cavalry divisions a bit bigger. No, they need some kind of damage dealing capability. CNTFAI. Okay, so Spain's at war. Now, do I go back for those upgrades, or do I go for Bulgarianization? I think we go back to researching the army. There are some more military factories there. Requires all of this. So let's get maintaining the hegemony. We cannot show or even allow our enemies to perceive any sort of weakness. We must assert our power in the Balkans and remind the surrounding nations of the Bulgarian hegemony and the superiority of the Bulgarian land forces, lest we lose the territorial gains made following the Weltkrieg. Alright, so all of those infantry units have now been trained, so we're going to go back to training those guys. Ever since the defeat of Napoleon, Spain has been plagued by violence, dissent, and turmoil. No amount of pleading, deal-making, or appeasement has managed to do more than paper over the cracks as the tensions bubbled. In fact, you know what? I'm going to make just 8 of them. Because then this is going to be a full unit of the heavy hitters. The 1937 Dutch elections. The Netherlands has traditionally been one of the most politically stable nations in Europe, and the Dutch people have for years been entrenched in their own institutional pillars, which have tended to undermine racial tendencies. Radical tendencies, even. Sweden's joined the Reichspakt. Yeah, this is going to be a very strong Reichspakt. Queen Wilhelmina abdicates the Dutch throne. In an astonishing sequence of events by the Dutch standards, Queen Wilhelmina has abdicated the throne after half a century of rule. Dismayed by the victory of the left-link's electoral pact, Wilhelmina has boldly stated that she would only accept the moderate VDB's candidates as formateur. Peter out, despite the SDAP's victory, forcing them instead to ally with the socialist RSAP. With even more moderate parliamentarians furious at her inadvertently forcing the SDAP to the left, Queen Wilhelmina's position quickly became untenable and the SDAP's Willem Albara was appointed. Wilhelmina's abdication was not enough to completely destroy the Dutch monarchy, however, and Juliana has quickly been crowned as the new queen. Interesting. At this rate, France is going to join the Reichspakt. Well, it looks like the Netherlands is going Cindy. Possibly. Although they're immediately going for the Dutch Navy, which I highly encourage. All they need to do is this one. Lothbahn Helfrich. We've gone mobile army already. Not done any policy. And yeah, left is victorious. Social Democratic, which I think is the pro-Third International. So we'll have the Dutch Navy versus the Sicilian Navy. I'd be down for that. That sounds cool. Let's wait until these are done first, actually. Almost got another military factory, but that process is pretty slow. Now I just need to be able to get the Chief of the Army, and it is 37. And then after this we'll probably get the weapons designer. Middle Africa declared war on Portugal. Though there are some that believe that the old-fashioned colonial wars to be a relic of the pre-Welsh Greek era, recent events in Africa have shown that man's thirst for battle on the Dark Continent is not in any immediate danger of disappearing. Iron Guard Romania has joined the Belgrade Pact. To contain the growing power of Austria and Bulgaria, Romania has ceded to the Belgrade Pact. Austria and Bulgaria watch with fear as the powder keg grows close to exploding once again. Greater Serbia, research, armaments. The Belgrade Congress argues for a new order in the Balkans. On the initiative of Serbia, several countries have convened in Belgrade to discuss the political and military situation on the Balkans. During this Congress, a new military alliance was founded, the so-called Belgrade Pact. This is clearly aimed at us, out of revenge for their loss in the Welsh Creek. We can only hope our former Central Power allies will support us in this crisis. Due to a shared hatred for Bulgaria's growing power, Greece has decided to enter the Belgrade Pact with Serbia to take down Bulgaria once and for all. And I should be improving relations with the Ottomans to make sure that they don't try anything. Otherwise, it's going to be problematic. Albania announces support for us. The Albanian government has announced today that they will support Bulgaria in the case of war between us and the Belgrade Pact. Whether this will be limited to arms deliveries or that Albania will intervene with their army remains unclear, but hopefully this will keep them from declaring war. Germany announces support for us. The German government has announced today that they will support the Bulgaria in the case of war between us and the Belgrade Pact. Thank you, Germany. We must turn our gaze towards maintaining the hegemony in the Balkans in order to preserve the Bulgarian Golden Age. As it stands, we are surrounded by Kaiserreich's Iron Guard Romania, who seeks to take our rightful land, and the Greeks to the south, who claim land that is rightfully ours. In addition, Serbia has stoked the fires of revanchism, hoping to secure its own hegemony in the Balkans. We cannot let that happen. Well, let's get defending our land so we can get division defense on core. It is crucial that we invigorate the soldiers and officers within the armed forces and convince them to defend our rightful lands at all costs. If our enemies gain any sort of advantage over us, it will not matter, for the Bulgarian land forces will fight on, unending in their battle to save Bulgaria. Right, let's make sure that everyone gets properly entrenched wherever it is that they are. And we do have more troops training, which we could just straight up deploy if necessary. Saudi Arabia has joined the Cairo Pact. With the eruption of war in North America, the balance of power suddenly and perhaps irrevocably changed. There will be consequences for this region and beyond. Greater Serbia. They might go after Albania. And if they do, I should probably join that war. Have these guys already started mobilizing? A little bit. I mean, actually, to be fair, they're the same level of mobilization that I am. The fall of Sacramento. Federal forces have been fighting long and difficult skirmishes with the Californian conscripts across the Rockies. Today, their efforts came to an end as they finally descended on the city of Sacramento after a large-scale assault across the American River. USA somehow? This is a good-looking AUS. Although they still haven't taken Washington. If they can take and hold Washington and Baltimore, then that would be good. I mean, the CSA has been very busy going after New England, fighting a multi-front war. Whoa! That's an early war. Mexico has joined the Third Internationale. Coming to France declared war on the German Empire. 1937. That's a really early war. The world has watched with looming apprehension as the Commune of France has made increasingly aggressive demands for the control of the Swiss-occupied region of Haute-Savoie. The region has been occupied by the Swiss forces since the end of the Weltkrieg, and Bern's refusal to recognise communal government in Paris as the rightful owner of the territory has inflamed tensions across the nations ever since. I'm going to go and save that real quick. Because this does mean that we're no longer going to get German volunteers. If anything, they could have, you know, Bulgarian volunteers going to help them out. And now Serbia is justifying. Justifying? Yes, justifying. Although that's not going to be done until January. So we have a good 6 months. The Weltkrieg claimed the lives of countless young men from all over the world in a conflict on an industrial scale, but it appears that even that nightmare could not deter man's lust for blood. So how many divisions do you have? 11, 8, 12, no, 28. But this is going to be primarily a defensive war, I think. But it will definitely be nice to have additional forces available for us. Denmark has joined the Reichspakt. So how are these looking? 54 organization. They're actually pretty hardy. 60 organization for those. And the cavalry? 70. I did not realize the cavalry had higher organization. Defending our land. Finished. Division organization or more recruitable population. Are we still recruiting? Yes. No, we're not. Let's go with the division recruitment time. The Bulgarian land forces have always been known for its vast reserves of manpower. With the potential impending tide of Greek, Romanian, Serbian and Turkish soldiers, it is clear that we must expand our manpower reserves so that every able-bodied Bulgarian will be able to defend the country. And yes, the Ottomans are building up on the border. You're not wrong. So... Ukraine declared war on Ukraine. Cav makes a great unit for garrison duty to stop uprisings, add military police to their skills, and they hold land very well. Yeah, I know. They are strong. I'm actually slightly more scared about the Ottomans coming after us now. What is it? Still 37. I'm going to go ahead and research the heavy tank, even though I'm not going to be using them just yet. Denmark is pieced out. Tripolitania joined the Cairo Pact. How many guns are we low on? 4,000. Ukrainian civil war, that will hinder Germany. Yeah, you're not wrong. Although, not the biggest civil war. Like, at all. Because it happened while the Ukraine was still at peace, I don't think they're going to do very much. Still have a hole on the Serbian front. Oh yeah. You're not wrong. We have time, though. I really want to get these guys just fully trained, if possible. And we're doing a pretty good job of creating infantry equipment now. Ukraine's already fallen. Yeah, I know I can change. Yeah, we may as well. So we were going to do guns and butter, I think, for even more organization. Although division attack could also be nice. Because that's going to be soft attack. I don't know how much soft attack my divisions are really going to have. No, I think supply consumption, because they're just going to be huge. The Expo Duck, thank you very much for the follow. Welcome to the channel. Field Hospital 1, excellent. Go ahead and research anti-tank. I don't think we're going to be up against any of that. You never know. Oh! Oh, they were hiding a bloody focus. Alright,